Thank you. I think in addition to what Neil said, yes, I totally agree with what has been said. I mean, everyone in the beginning is in the revolution. In many ways, everyone is in the revolution, the different sectors of society, bourgeois, workers, and different strata. But and this is where you see the difference in the slogans, as you said, unity with the army and everything. And as what happened in the past history, I think Egypt is not, and the difference, I will come back to Iran, 1979. Egypt is much more in a situation 1917. And why? Because now we will see the differences in the revolution, as Naira, you were talking about. We're seeing the different slogans coming out: unity with the army, go back to work, build a new Egypt. This is basically the slogans of the bourgeois that are happy with what they achieve now. They might have a civilian government in 6 months, but no social economic policy changes. And why class struggle, why class analysis is important to understand the events ongoing in Egypt and what happened in Tunisia is because it will allow us to understand the nature of the struggle ongoing and the nature of the future regime. This is what class analysis is important. It's not only about talking about socialist revolution of the workers, it's also elements that allow you to understand the ongoing struggle and the future, the nature of the regime. So it's not only about, I mean, like saying us revolutionaries saying we're putting socialist elements. No, it's important analysis, important element to understand the nature of the struggle and the nature of a regime. And like in 1917, after the first revolution, the bourgeois, not the bourgeois revolution, but the whole revolution, you had differences, and you had the Bolshevik that was a small political parties and built a mass movement, mass political parties following the February Revolution. And this might happen in Egypt. And to the different questions that that arise, that what is the part of leftists or revolutionaries in this movement? They have key position. They're not a lot. It's not mass organization, but they have key position. They have led the movement in many areas of Egypt, and this will be the period that this is a key period we're here for leftists, for revolutionaries in Egypt, because if they are able to build mass movement, mass political party, they will have an influence on the nature of the struggle and the nature of the future government. And this is very important to understand. So definitely class analysis is very important to understand what is happening for the future, for our near future. And I don't think we should underestimate what is happening in Egypt, because it has differently influence in the whole region and even on an international scale. When we hear the student or different, not the union I wouldn't say, but the student in UK having slogans now, bring Egypt to London. I mean, and it will have definitely influence on the 26th of March. People are now seeing on an international scale that the power of the streets can make a difference. We had in Italy, following the hundreds of thousands of people going in the streets, women, I think this is definitely, it has a link with Egypt. The power of the street is important. I mean, what the Palestinian Authority calling for new elections in 6 months. Why? I mean, this is directly linked to what is happening in Egypt. You had Morocco launching a project of development for a few billions. Why? Because they're scared as well of social unrest, social revolts in their country. Bahrain as well. They announced before the call for demonstration, they gave to each Bahraini family $1,000 because they were scared of popular uprising. And even with this, there was popular uprisings. So I really don't think we should underestimate what is happening in Egypt on a regional and international scale. And also we shouldn't forget, these are the two first revolutions we're witnessing after the financial crisis. And as Neil said, this is what we're witnessing is a massive threat for the capitalist system, because this could be ongoing. in the UK, people are fed up of this ideological attack on the welfare state, and people are believing again for mass protests. People saw what happened with the student movement, saw what happened in Egypt and Tunisia, are believing again that mass protests can change something. So definitely, I think we shouldn't underestimate it. And the revolution is definitely not over in Egypt, or it has not been over in Tunisia. Ongoing demonstration, ongoing demands, because it's not the main slogan was people want to overthrow the regime, and not only Mubarak or Ben Ali. They want a change of the whole system. It was basically social movements in the beginning with social demands that transformed into political movement. So the level, and this I think was your question, the level of demand is very high. People are conscious of what they want. They want a change of the system. They won't come back. Egyptians, half of the population is living under the poverty line, with with less than $2. People won't come back to their houses only because Mubarak resigned. They want a change of the system. This is a revolt. This is a revolutionary process, not only as against an authoritarian regime, but against neoliberal policies. And this is very clear. All over the region, people want job opportunities, refusing inflation, refusing high cost of living. So it's to undermine it. I think it's not in their favor, and definitely not what we're. And to a following question. So, is it a military coup? No, no, definitely not. And what about the nature of the Egyptian army conscript? And what we were saying before about, yes, the army did torture, the army did pull out when the thugs came in, but it would have been a completely different scale if the army shot or we'd seen a new Tangan man. This we would have seen a complete, I think, a division in the army and the end of the regime. So I think it's a question of scale. What is allowed to, and it was quite hidden. We were not aware of it. So some stuff hidden was fine, but a complete, crushing of the people would have been not even be possible. This is very clear because of the nature, because they are conscript. As Neil said, they're coming from villages, from poor neighborhoods. Because basically, you don't have the high bourgeoisie going into the army. They send their kids away to other universities and stuff. So.
Sorry. If it's a conscription, isn't it general conscription?
Yes, but
not in my family serves in the
exactly, you pay.
None of them have served.
Yeah. Is that because they somehow know somebody?
Yeah, you know people.
You pay
a bribe, or you do something that makes you exempt.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's very
none
easy.
Of them have served.
It's very easy.
So in theory, it's everybody, but in practice,
it's conscript army, but it's like
exactly. Yeah. Most of the Arab, in Arab countries, armies, even though they are conscript. Originally from Syria, all of my friends, a lot of my friends, just left the country for 5-6 years and paid something and came back. No problem. A lot of them just pay and it's fine. So this is why the nature of the basis of the army would not have intervened directly against the protesters. Iran, what to say? The Green Movement, even though we didn't talk about it, I wouldn't call it the Green Movement, just the popular movements ongoing in Iran. There's always been, resistance, and since even the last elections, but obviously because of the repression, it was less important. Now we're hearing about it because different personalities called for it, and it was very. I thought it was quite ironic. When Iran called today, the Bahraini state not to use violence against the protesters. So it's quite ironic coming from this Iranian regime. And as well, the Egyptian revolution and the Tunisian have consequences on what is happening in Iran. And you have also socio-economic problems, authoritarian regime and corruption. But the level of repression is different. And the difference also is that you have a big kind of security forces ideologically also linked to the regime, the Basiji, also politically and economically linked to the big bourgeoisie. So it's also things to take into account. Linked with this 1979 revolution, why it's different? Because in Egypt we don't like the whole opposition is not backing one leader. Whereas in Iran in 1979, the whole opposition was backing one leader, Khomeini. And Khomeini took over and with the help of the Iraqi-Iran war, completely swept up any kind of opposition. And here in Egypt, you don't have a clear leader, one leader. You have the movement and traditional political parties were not involved. So this is the main difference between Egyptian and Iran. This is why I'm seeing more a comparison with 1917. Bahrain, to come back to your question about Bahrain, why they, also we should understand the situation, the context of Bahrain. Even though we do agree that the revolution has international consequences, we should also understand the context of the country. Bahrain security forces are mainly recruited from the Sunni sect. Bahrain is mostly composed of Shia religion, but it's the regime is obviously an authoritarian bourgeois using sectarian issues to enforce its power. And this is also one of the demands of the opposition in Bahrain, that they stop granting citizenship to Sunni foreigners that they are directly used for the Ministry of Interior and Security Forces. They're directly recruited to be in the security forces. So you have Pakistanis, you have other foreigners being directly. So they're using the sectarian issues to keep control of their socio-economic power. And so these people that are used ideologically in the sectarian ways see the Shia not as a socio-economic issue, but as a direct enemy that has to be crushed. So this is maybe the difference, when you can use sectarian issues in your interest. And if this might be used by other regimes, will they crush the same way Bahrain is doing it now? It's different, because you have to see the national context. In Algeria as well is a conscript army, Morocco is a conscript army, Jordan. Also you have this difference between the Jordanian and the Palestinian views by the army and the regime. So you have to use the national context. But I don't think you will see, if there is mass protest, and Bahraini will come back in the streets, I can guarantee you, tomorrow you will see a mass demonstration. How can you, like when you had 8 million people in the streets in Egypt, you cannot face this. And to come back to what you said, popular movements, this is the way to, this is basically the way to go. If you have more than, I don't know, 10, 15% of the population in the streets, I think it's very hard to crush it.
Yeah, once it reaches a critical mass, so it's almost that the initial people are they end up almost being kind of martyrs, because they're taking the big risks, and then other people see them, and then they say, oh yeah, we should. If it can reach that critical mass, then it's unstoppable, because you're not going to shoot a million people.
Exactly. So I think I did cover all the question or not. Yeah, and definitely I think the question of undermining the revolution shouldn't be, because it's not only on a national scale for Egypt, it's on a regional scale and international scale. This is very clear for me, and it will, every revolution in an authoritarian Arab regime also is a step closer to the liberation of Palestine. I think we should link it as well. It is very important not to forget it.
Thank you.